At one time or another, you've probably looked up at the night sky and noticed the moon. And perhaps you've also looked up and tried to count the number of stars in the sky. Where are all of these stars located? How far away are they? What makes some stars so bright and others dim? For centuries, scientists have sought answers to these questions. Many are still not completely answered. This is what makes exploring our universe so fascinating. During the next few minutes, we're going to explore these questions and many others as we investigate some of the fascinating features of our solar system and universe. As you know, we live on the planet Earth. At this very moment, we're orbiting the Sun, speeding through space at an amazing speed of over 107,000 kilometers per hour. The Sun provides us with light during the day and is vital to life on Earth. Earth, along with the other 8 planets that orbit our Sun, make up the solar system. Distances in our solar system are great. For example, the distance to Pluto is about 3 billion miles, or about 5 billion kilometers. Our solar system represents only a tiny part of the galaxy in which we're located, called the Milky Way galaxy. You decide. What is a galaxy? A galaxy is a huge collection of stars, gases, dust, nebulae, and planets that's bound together by gravity. Our galaxy is in the general form of a spiral-shaped disk, with the Earth located about halfway out from the center. If you look directly overhead in the night sky, you can see a whitish milky haze. This is a view looking directly into the side of our disk-shaped galaxy. When we look outside this haze, we're able to look outside our galaxy, at other galaxies. Galaxies have several different shapes, including spiral-shaped galaxies. Elliptical galaxies are shaped somewhat like an egg. Barred spiral galaxies have spirals attached to a central bar in the middle. Scientists estimate there are billions of galaxies, and the sum of all of the galaxies, matter, and energy in space is referred to as the universe. If you were to measure the distance you bicycled or skied, you would measure the distance in kilometers or miles. But how do you measure distances in space? We can use kilometers to measure the distance to objects in space that are relatively close to Earth, such as the Moon or the Sun, which is about 150 million kilometers from Earth. But how about objects that are much farther, such as the star Rigel, which is 861 trillion kilometers from Earth? This is a huge number, and such large numbers are awkward to use. Astronomers measure distance in space in units called light years. A light year is the distance light travels in 1 year. You may not think of light traveling because here on Earth, light appears to travel nearly instantaneously. You decide. How fast does light travel? Light travels at an amazing speed of 310,000 kilometers per second. In 1 year, light can travel 9.5 trillion kilometers. Therefore, the star Rigel in the constellation Orion, which is about 861 trillion kilometers from Earth, is 910 light years away. If you look closely at the evening stars, you notice that some stars are brighter than others. Astronomers compare brightness of stars using a number referred to as magnitude. The term apparent magnitude refers to how bright a star appears to us here on Earth. If you study the different stars, you'll notice that they tend to have different colors. Notice this flame. The cooler part of this flame is yellow, and the hotter part is blue. Similarly with stars, blue stars are very hot. Stars that appear white are somewhat cooler. Yellow stars, like our Sun, are even cooler. And red stars are the coolest. You decide. Where do stars originate in space? While astronomers are not entirely sure, they presently believe that stars originated from the dust and gas formations in space called nebulae. You can see nebulae in the sky. For example, in the lower part of the constellation Orion is a nebula called the Orion Nebula, or the Great Nebula. As a nebula grows and gases compress, the cloud heats up and develops into a protostar. In a protostar, the process of nuclear fusion begins, and the star begins to give heat and light. Stars vary in size. Our Sun is slightly smaller than an average-sized star. Stars with a diameter 10 to 100 times the size of our Sun are called giant stars. And huge stars are up to 1,000 times the size of our Sun. Some stars, called white dwarfs, are smaller than our Earth. And the tiniest stars, called neutron stars, are only about 16 kilometers in diameter. Much of our early knowledge about the stars came from studying the star nearest to Earth, the Sun. The Sun is slightly smaller than the average star. It appears big to us because it's relatively close to Earth. You decide. How long does it take the Sun's light to reach Earth? It takes about 8 minutes for the light of the Sun to reach us here on Earth. The Sun is huge compared to Earth, and about 1 million planets the size of Earth would fit inside the Sun. The Sun is made up primarily of gases. In the center of the Sun, temperatures may reach 15 million degrees Celsius, where hydrogen atoms are fused into helium atoms, releasing huge amounts of heat and light. This process is called nuclear fusion. While our Sun is generally considered a relatively cool star compared to other stars, it still generates a lot of activity. For example, violent storms called prominences may occur on the surface. These are huge eruptions of hot gas, which may spew millions of kilometers into space. Solar flares are another type of storm on the Sun. These show up on the Sun's surface as bright bursts of light, and they contain huge amounts of energy, which is released into space. Similarly, sunspots are storms on the surface which appear as darker spots and are cooler than the surrounding area. Both sunspots and solar flares release so much energy into space that communication signals here on Earth may be affected. Earth receives a continual stream of high-energy particles from the Sun. This stream of particles is called the solar wind. Earth, at this moment, is being pelted with many objects from outer space. Most of these objects are small pieces of metal or stone called meteoroids. Astronomers think most meteoroids originate from the asteroid belt or from broken up comets. When a meteoroid enters Earth's atmosphere, it rubs against gases, generating friction. This causes the meteoroid to burn. The streak of light from the burning is called a meteor. Meteors are commonly referred to as shooting stars. Perhaps you've seen one. While most meteoroids burn up in the atmosphere, some may strike the Earth's surface. The remaining matter is called a meteorite. When large meteorites strike the Earth, they may create a crater. What is this object? This icy object, which travels around the Sun in a huge elliptical orbit, is called a comet. There are tens of thousands of comets in our solar system which are continually orbiting the Sun. Comets are made of a collection of ice, gas, and dust, similar to a dirty snowball. As a comet gets close to the Sun, it warms, and some of its ice, gas, and dust heat up. The vaporized gases form a cloud around the head of the comet called the coma. As the comet orbits the Sun, solar wind pushes the gases outward in a trailing tail. Most comets, if visible at all, appear as small smudges. But every few years, a comet appears that is clearly visible to the naked eye. Halley's Comet, one of the more famous comets, is visible every 75 to 79 years and was last visible in 1986. This comet is called Hale-Bopp and was last vividly seen by millions of people worldwide in 1997. During the past few minutes, we've explored just a few of the many interesting characteristics of our universe. We took a quick look at the different types of galaxies found in the universe, including our Milky Way galaxy. We took a rather simplified look at the complex nature of stars and their characteristics, including those of our very own star, the Sun. Finally, we studied some of the amazing features of comets and meteors, some of the most exciting objects in the sky. So, the next time you take a walk in the Sun, or are lucky enough to see a meteor, think about some of the things we've discussed during the past few minutes. You just might look at the evening sky a little differently. Fill in the correct word to complete the sentence. Good luck, and let's get started. Number 1. Our galaxy has the form of a shaped disk. Number 2. Distances in space are measured in Number 3. Helps identify a star's temperature. Number 4. New stars are believed to originate from Number 5. Comets are a collection of gas and dust.